Okay, so I usually start these sessions, and I will this one as well, by asking how many of my typing sessions have you seen before?
2.
Okay, that's not very many. That's pretty pretty virgin, you know.
Yeah.
Because I divided the people into virgins, people that are completely unfamiliar with typology, half virgins, which you're maybe more, which is people who have some familiar with typology, but not with my typing, and then non-virgins who are familiar with both. All right. So, how long have you been aware of typology into learning about it, thinking about it, whatever?
Learned about it in 2017 through college, but didn't look into it at all. And then picked it up 2 months ago, and actually started looking into it. What I learned in college was just take a personality test, and here's the letter dichotomies.
So, the thing that made you get more interested in it is cognitive functions.
Yeah, and it was my wife wanted us to both go into it more.
Okay, cool. So, can you tell me about the last time you went out of town on a vacation?
Yes, I went. Uh, Vacation is a difficult word. I was drugged to Florida to visit my wife's parents for a week, and that was, I believe, in November.
I see. And can you recount for me your least favorite moment from the trip? I normally ask favorite, but it doesn't sound like this was your ideal outing.
The least favorite was going back to Florida.
So
Just
just
being
the drive,
no, it's flying. We live in Washington,
or
but
you
it's not
flew?
the destination. Florida itself is not where I want to be at.
Okay, so in other words, you don't, when thinking back on it, isolate. You know, for example, Eric, there was this horrible moment. It was a sometime in the late afternoon, and my wife's parents were like, "You've got to come out to the beach and play with alligators." And not any specific moment that comes to mind.
Um, One, there's one, and it's my wife brought it up to me the other day. It was her mom got really pissy that we didn't comment on the snowmen that she had put up, and she was just talking about that the other day. But that's the only reason I can remember that moment.
It was why you don't like to go to Florida because um you don't like that kind of controlling-ish way of those people, or does it have something to do with the state in general?
I lived there for 30 years. We just recently moved out to Washington State, so that's yeah, that's where my family is. And I don't speak with my family at all. So it's I guess it could be negative association with that.
Okay. Were there things unrelated to people that you also disliked about Florida?
The heat.
Okay. And when you say you were in Washington, you mean the state, not Washington, D.C.?
Correct.
Okay. Did you purposely move there because you liked like forests and stuff?
Yes. We looked up rainy cold areas. Those are the favorite days in Florida. So find a place that does that.
And were your expectations going in that you would like the climate there better? Have they been borne out by your experience?
I'm sorry, what was it?
Like, has it turned out that in fact you do like the climate a lot better?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Had you had experience uh previously not living someplace with that climate, but visiting that climate, and that's why you knew you wanted that climate, or you just knew you didn't like the heat?
No, I knew I didn't like the heat, but Florida had occasional cold days and rain every day. And the times that it rained and cooled down were when I enjoyed it more. So,
I see. Do you do outdoor activities like fishing or hiking?
Occasionally hiking.
Okay, do you make an effort to get regular exercise in some
No,
other way, maybe?
I don't.
No,
No, I have
me neither.
no
High
idea.
five. Um, all right. Was there a time in your life when you did make an effort to do more physical activity?
Yes.
And what kind of what does that physical activity look like?
Um, let's. I went running was the first just track in high school, and also in that time frame, I went to a gym fairly regularly. So weightlifting, so running and weightlifting.
Do you remember the thinking that went into your making the choice to do those things back then?
Not really. Um, Probably because after school activities were something that you were supposed to do, I guess. And I happened
Okay.
to be the um, surrounded by the sex appeal crowd. So I think that probably had something to do with it.
I see. That explains the weightlifting part, I guess.
Yes.
Um, so okay. Do you do the grocery shopping in your house?
Yes.
Can you try to tell me a story like this? Last time I went to the grocery store, I had a list of number of items that I needed to get. First, I went to the aisle over there on the right, and I got the and then I went after that and got the from the next aisle, like that.
So walk you through
Yeah,
how I
walk me
shop.
through your grocery trip.
Well, the recent ones I have the layout known, so I just write the list of items that I need and organize them in the order of the store, so that way I can enter one side and exit at the self checkout side.
And you do that every time you go to the store?
Yeah, I have a 9-year-old daughter, so sometimes if she wants something that wasn't on the list, then we'll deviate, but otherwise, no.
So if I say to you, um, okay, salad dressing is now on your list. You know, if I were to put a bunch of other items, what order to put it in? You just know that,
Yes,
and it's because you memorize the layout of the store.
yes,
Do you do that on purpose, or did it just happen?
I did it on purpose.
Okay,
I got tired of zigzagging.
okay. Well, that's very efficient. Uh, so when you have to remind yourself of things, do you set alarms on your phone, make notifications on your calendar or something like that? Or can you count on yourself to keep track of it without that externalization?
I don't trust myself to keep track of it. I I remember, but I also make alarms on my phone for important things, um, such as picking up my daughter from school or picking up my wife from work.
Okay, so you mentioned that you'll remember.
Yes.
Do you remember by reminding yourself frequently throughout the day, or you just have some other sense of I remember?
Usually I'll just look at the clock and it'll, oh, it's time to
Thank
go.
you. Okay, cool. Um, Now let me get a little bit meta here and ask, what do you think I was trying to get to? What do you think I was trying to determine with all those questions here before?
Well, they were all memory questions. So I'm guessing you were trying to gauge my memory.
I'm trying to figure out whether you're SI front stack or NI front stack. That's where I usually start.
Oh,
And the conclusion I would draw from all of your answers so far is that you're NI front stack, not SI front stack.
okay.
Can you tell me additionally, and we're going to pursue this line of inquiry from a different angle now. Can you tell me how you feel physically right now? Any aches and pains, any like stiff neck or anything like that?
No, not currently.
If you had any such, do you think you'd easily be able to identify that you did?
Yes. Specifically, I have an ingrown toenail. So if I wear a sock that's too tight, it is a lot of pain in the toe. But that's, yeah. So I know it's there. So I try to make a conscious effort to not.
Yeah, I don't
Hear.
even think we need toenails. It's like,
Yeah,
if we didn't have toenails, would we be missing out on anything really?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Okay. How many hours of sleep do you think you need a night?
Need? It depends on the night.
Okay. If you were to sleep exactly as you wanted to sleep, what would those sleeping habits look like?
I wouldn't sleep.
So you think sleep's basically a waste of time, but you acknowledge that you have to get it?
Yeah, and not a waste of time because it is a necessity. But it would be nice if we didn't have to.
It's time spent unproductively except for meeting that necessity.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay, cool. Can you break down the process of mowing the lawn into the, let's say, exactly 5 steps?
The 5 steps. Got to fill in some gaps because get the mower, mow the grass, put it away. So I got to find some steps in between. Check for fuel. And clean debris.
Yeah, you got to pour the clippings from the catcher into the garbage can.
Yeah, that's the clean debris
That's
part.
clean debris. Yeah, sure. Okay, cool.
Never had a
Well,
mower, a bag to catch though.
oh, really? I
Yeah.
haven't mowed a lawn since I was a little kid. That was one of my chores as a kid. I had to mow the lawn every weekend. But we had an old gas mower that had a catcher thing on the back. I don't know how they do it nowadays. Okay. So describe to me, please, your relationship with goals and or problem solving. If they're different, please explain how.
Goals and problem solving. Problem solving is an easier one because
All right,
it's
let's
reactive.
start there.
So problem solving is entirely dependent on the problem. But so do you want I guess a metaphysical problem or a physical problem? Like
Well, I
house
mean,
or
it's already informative for you to make the distinction you did about the fact that problem solving links to the specifics of the problem, which is correct.
okay.
But I guess I would say, let's say a doorknob breaks around your house. In other words, you go to turn it one time, it's been maybe it didn't seem like it was jiggly or whatever, but now all of a sudden you pull it and this end of it comes off and the other end falls outside. It's completely fallen out of your door. What do? Do you fix it yourself? Right. If so, right away. Do you put off fixing it? Do you look up how to fix it? Or do you assume you can figure it out on the fly, etc.?
If it's entirely broken, I'm going to fix it right away. Like if it's falling apart. And if it is just loose, I probably won't notice. until it starts to be extremely loose and come off, and then in which case I'll fix it.
Okay.
And I don't remember the first time that I fixed a doorknob, but now whenever I've had to, I just do it because I know how to. They're pretty much all the same mechanics.
Okay. How do you determine whether a given task ought to be delegated or whether to do it yourself?
I always do it myself. I don't delegate. Yeah, that's a hard one.
Okay. So do you never encounter tasks that require expertise you don't have?
Oh, I do. And if that does happen, I can, depending on the situation, either try to figure out myself or look it up if it's really boring, I guess, like a coffee maker.
Okay. Do you have long-term goals that see changes in your life moving forward, or are you where you want to be at right now?
The only long-term goal that we have is to buy property and a house out here.
Okay. So you're currently renting?
Yeah, we actually live in a state park because my wife works for the state parks, and so it's
They give
government
you housing? Cool. That's cool. I bet it must be nice views and stuff, huh?
absolutely.
That's cool. How important is, say, a beautiful natural environment around your house to you?
Fairly, but I don't. Yeah, fairly. I don't think about it until I'm outside. I have.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I don't think about it. I don't think about it whenever until I go outside. So
Right. Um, what's more important to you? Avoiding sound pollution, avoiding crowdedness, avoiding traffic. I guess traffic's a form of crowdedness, but or avoiding, I guess we call it like light pollution. You know, a bunch of street lights making it light outside all the time, even at night.
it's a tie. I'm trying to think into it, but it's a tie between the crowds and the noise. Not so much the traffic crowds, but I guess how much a crowd is going to infer noise anyways, so or imply noise.
Yeah. Well,
Probably a
it's like,
crowd, because a
yeah,
crowd would be both.
even when we lived in Los Angeles in a fairly a comparatively low density area of Los Angeles in kind of a nice suburban neighborhood, you still can't get away from all the sirens, the helicopters, planes flying overhead, all that shit. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So, all right, let me see here. It doesn't sound to me like you're, well, instead of saying that, let me just ask you the question. Can you please describe to me your relationship with procrastination?
Um, I procrastinate a lot unless it matters. So, for instance, work stuff or school stuff. Whenever I was in school, um, I'm not going to wait to the last minute. But for other things, I don't care.
Okay.
Like
So
basic cleaning, that kind of stuff.
if you don't care, does that really count as procrastination? Procrastination seems like you care
It
about
needs
getting
to
it
be.
done. Okay, go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah. I was thinking of more along the lines of something that needs to be done, because chores need to be done, and I just really don't care.
They do, but in my mind, if you're not like going, oh, come on, self, get around to this, then it doesn't count as procrastination.
Okay. Then in that case, if it's if it's something that if it's not something that needs to get done, then it's something that I want to get done. Is
Well,
that what you?
like, for example, something that I might procrastinate on, I need to get my teeth fixed. I need to go to the dentist and get some implants or at least some kind of bridge or denture thing because I got so few teeth left. I know I need to get it done. That on some level, I want to get it done, but I keep putting it off because who wants to then go have dental surgery?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk to me about how you feel emotionally right now?
Um, I'm good. I think.
Okay.
Neutral. Yes, neutral's probably better.
Okay. Do you think your emotions tell you more about whether and how much your boundaries have been crossed, or more about what's important to you and what you want in life?
When my boundaries have been crossed, or do they tell me what I want in life?
Yeah.
Um,
In other words, do they tell you what's good or what's bad?
oh, what's bad?
Okay.
Most of my emotional states would be considered depressive, I guess.
Do things make you angry?
Mm, not really. I would say irritated, and as opposed to anger. Um,
Okay.
Anger
Would you
seems
say
like it
that
would.
would you say that the most common state of emotion for you is neutral, but if you're noticing your emotions, they're probably negative?
Yeah.
Um, so can you think of some things that make you happy?
Oh yeah. Joking around with my daughter. Um, I enjoy the I guess happiness that I can provide my wife with cooking in particular, and she's very big into food, so I can uh, I guess doing stuff for them makes me happy. That's probably a better way. That makes me feel happy.
Do you like to cook, or is it just because it's helpful to them?
Uh, Probably just because it's helpful to them.
Okay. So if you
It's
were
because
single, do you
whenever
think
I'm
you?
myself, I'll eat ramen.
And so if you were single, I was just gonna say, if you were single, would you just eat cup of noodles all the time?
Yeah, unless I got bored with it, yeah, and then I would probably get, I don't know, chicken wings or make a steak or something like that.
Or do you
And
think
then,
you'd eat it over the sink to avoid dirty in a dish?
oh, yes, absolutely.
I assume then when you do cook, you must clean as you cook to try to minimize the amount of dishes you use, right?
Yes. I've
That's
actually limited myself to one pan to stop myself from dirtying up so many pans.
yeah. I just bite the bullet and make what I want to make. It causes me to make stuff very much less frequently. Rachel and I mostly eat frozen dinners from the freezer. Uh okay. So if you do use a certain amount of pans, pots, dishes, whatever, are you going to let them sit in the sink at all, or are you going to clean them up right away?
Depends on the day. Um, I'll probably leave them in there though, and then but it depends on the day. But I'd probably leave it in there until I clean or until I cook again.
Do you have a dishwasher?
I do not.
So let me ask you now to come up with some names for my new invention. Okay. My new invention is a bird feeder that that also serves as a smoke signaling device. So if you want to smoke signal somebody with a remote control, you can put like big circle, little circle, big circle, little circle, and convey a smoke signal Morse code to people.
Can you go over that again, please?
Yeah, it's a bird feeder. So, it's got seeds that come out in this little tray on the bottom. But on top of it, it's got a smoke generating smoke ring thing. So you can send smoke signals with it as well, since it's already outside.
I'm getting past trying to ignite a bird feeder and potentially killing the birds.
It's not a good idea, but we're going to try to sell it to people anyway.
Let's call it feed and weed. The smoke rings are weed rings.
Okay. Do you have any other names?
I don't.
Okay, cool. So next, let me ask you some TI questions.
Okay.
If only birds eat sunflower seeds and I eat sunflower seeds, am I necessarily a bird?
No.
Yes, I am. Because if only birds eat sunflower seeds, then everything that eats sunflower seeds is a bird.
Oh, okay. I see what
Let's
you're
try some more. If some frogs enjoy basketball and all people who like basketball also like hockey, then is it necessarily the case that some frogs like hockey?
If some frogs, can you repeat it again, please?
Sure. If some frogs like basketball and all things that like basketball also like hockey, then is it necessarily the case that some frogs like hockey?
Yes.
Yes, correct. Okay. If all people named Julie like science and I like science, am I necessarily named Julie?
No.
If um if no penguins play racquetball and I don't play racquetball, am I necessarily a penguin?
No.
Okay. If can you tell me now? We're gonna try some genealogy questions. Can you tell me in relationship to me, who is my sister's mother's husband's sister?
Sister's mother's husband's sister. So sister's mother's husband's sister. Sister's mother's husband's sister. So that's your aunt, your aunt.
Correct. Either I would consider correct, either aunt or aunt.
Okay.
How about can you tell me my mother's husband's only son-in-law?
Did you say mothers, mothers?
Yeah, mothers, husbands, only son-in-law.
Mothers, mothers, husbands, only son-in-law. Mothers, mothers, husbands, only son-in-law. Your dad.
Correct. Excellent. Well done. Now, can you explain to me why it's a bad idea for the U.S. to invade Canada?
Explain to you why it's a bad idea for the U.S. to invade Canada. No provocation. There's no provocation.
Yeah.
Are you going to invade another country, especially a neighbor that you engage in trade with, I guess?
Okay. That's certainly probably one of the best answers. You could say the proposed action lacks legitimacy in some regard. Anyway, cool. So let me try now penning down. Okay, well, can you describe to me your experience with schmoozing, sometimes called glad handing?
I don't know what either of those mean.
Things like making your way in the world by getting the various people you encounter. Let's say you got to go deal with some thing like a government. Well, forget government. Let's say you got to deal with something like, you know, I don't know, maybe a doctor's office where it's tough to get an appointment. And the best way to get an appointment is to ingratiate yourself to the nurse slash receptionist. Would it occur to you to say, bring her a cup of coffee to make yourself more likely to get favorable treatment?
No.
Okay.
So
And do you think if somebody tried to do that to you, that it would work, that you would give them
No.
favorable treatment? No. Okay.
I've had people do that to me. No.
All right, cool. And were you offended when they tried to do that to you?
A little bit. I viewed it as a form of them attempting to manipulate me. It's
Okay.
not enough to warrant an action, but slight irritation.
Okay. So now I'm going to ask you some values questions. And specifically, first, I want you to tell me what you think is a more important value for others in the world to uphold. Okay. Not for you to uphold.
For others.
Yeah. Is it more important that they be reliable or impactful?
Sorry, what was the second word?
Impactful.
Impactful. And the first one again?
Reliable.
Reliable or reliable.
Okay. How about logical or socially graceful?
Logical.
Okay. How about fair or kind?
I think fair.
Okay. What about concision or originality? Concision meaning, saying it in a short amount of words.
Concision or originality. Is the implication of originality, of neglecting originality, conformity?
Well, it's not necessarily conformity. It's just that it makes its hay perhaps with familiarity, let's say. It's people enjoy it because it's familiar and comfortable. Would be an alternative to enjoying it because it's new and interesting.
Oh, first option then.
Okay, concision. All right. And this is for other people in the world. So, for example, in media, are you looking, when you're, say, listening to YouTubers, are you looking for ideas you've never heard before? Or are you looking for explanations that wrap things up in a nice, easily swallowed package, or something else?
When I'm consuming media,
Yeah.
which I don't know. I don't think I'm actually looking for any of them. It seems like I kind of look for, or I just consume, or rather listen to the information that's presented and then see where it fits in. And it can be consolidated or expanding.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Now, which of these values we're going to talk about was more important for you, or I'll make frame the question a little differently, for you to uphold, not for others, okay?
Okay.
Do you think it's easier for you to be kind or fair?
Easier for fair.
Okay. Do you think it's easier for you to be reliable or impactful?
Reliable.
Okay. How about reliable or logical?
Hmm. It's easier for me to be logical than it is reliable.
Okay. And so accordingly, do you think if others call you fairly or unfairly, let's say, illogical, and somebody else calls you illogical, somebody else calls you unreliable, would you say then that you're more likely to get defensive about being unreliable, or is that not the case?
If somebody calls me unreliable, I don't care.
Okay.
There's a
So,
definitive trick that can be applied, so the person's opinion doesn't really matter. They tell me to show up at a time, and I show up at the time, and
okay.
that's
What if they call you unfair?
It's possible that I am. That's not going to bother me either.
Okay. What if they call you rude?
That would probably be accurate.
What if they call you inefficient?
That one's going to be less true, but it's not going to offend me.
Okay. And what if they call you inauthentic?
I don't care.
Is there anything anybody can call you that would bother you?
I don't think so.
How about untruthful?
Yeah, it's probably I think unfaithful, not in the sense of religion, but like if somebody accused me of,
Not loyal.
yeah, then I would get really irritated. So I think
Okay.
unfaithful, well, that would irritate me the most.
Cool. And what makes you more angry at yourself? If you stub your toe, or if you forget it, or if you are if you accidentally hurt someone's feelings. If you stub your toe, or if you accidentally hurt someone.
What was the emotion?
What makes you more mad at yourself?
Oh, whenever I stub my toe. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I believe I have you nailed down pretty definitively here. I know
Okay.
we've got plenty of time left, so I'm going to try to just sort of double check a couple of things. But so far, you're pretty textbook in terms of what type I think you are. So let me just see where I can double check / reinforce.
Okay.
Um, Do you have any creative endeavors? Any ways that you like to express yourself, like painting, singing, dancing, writing, anything like that?
Um, Guitar, and just recently picked up piano.
Do you play songs that you learn, like somebody else's songs that you learn, or do you play? Do you write your own songs, or do you jam out, or
Both.
what? Both. Okay, cool. And when you write a song, can you talk to me about your songwriting process?
Oh, I don't write the song. I kind of just play it as it comes about. And if it sounds good,
I
then
mean,
that's it.
so you mean, so you kind of freestyle it,
Yes.
and then do you record it so you have a record of it, or
No, I don't.
so it's just a temporary song for the moment, and then it just goes into the past of history?
Yes. Sometimes I can find it again. If I hear the same chord or note, then I can somehow start playing the same pattern again. But that's,
And when
yeah,
when you're doing that, do you sing words over it as well?
I do not.
Okay, so you just play. This is playing the guitar.
Yeah, just the guitar and piano less so because I just started it.
So, I guess what I'm going there is you're as long as you're writing an instrument.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Uh, do you have an opinion about lyrics in the songs you like to listen to? Like what makes good lyrics?
Mm, not really. And I don't listen to lyrical music really ever. Um, I can notice it if it's in the background of wherever I happen to be at, but I'm not focusing on them.
Okay. When you go to sleep, do you like to listen to anything as you're going to sleep, or do you just like it to be quiet and dark?
Rain.
Right.
I have a thunderstorm rain soundtrack that I listen to every night. It plays throughout the night while I'm sleeping.
And that's because you believe it helps you to sleep better, right?
I think that it's I'm a light sleeper, so the noise masks masks any other sounds that might happen. So it prevents me
Okay.
from waking up.
Okay, cool. So, do you ever see yourself beginning to engage in more of a publishy kind of way with your music making?
Uh, do I see myself engaging in publishing music, like in the
You're like,
future?
yeah, like, is there some, are you playing the guitar and someday you're gonna say, okay, I'm ready, I'm good enough, I'll do this on a live stream or something? Or are you not playing for that purpose ever?
No, not for that purpose ever. The audience is me and uh, my wife and daughter.
Okay, cool. Uh, do you like to do any kind of gardening or puttering around the house kind of stuff like that?
Just miscellaneous things like no.
Okay. Do you play any video games?
I used to.
What kind of games did you like to play when you played video games?
Uh, I guess it was a mix of RPGs and uh, the online card games like Hearthstone and Gwent, um, and then the RPGs like World of Warcraft and Skyrim.
Did you ever in World of Warcraft get a satchel of helpful goods?
It sounds familiar, but I I don't know.
Yeah, my daughter, one time when my daughter was young, she was playing World of Warcraft, and I was watching her play and asking her questions like, "Oh, what's that thing you just got?" So it's hit the satchel of helpful goods.
Oh,
It was something that got dropped in World of Warcraft, I guess, you know.
yeah, it's a dungeon reward. That's what it is.
So yeah, I was like, well, I mean, it sounds a lot better than your tone makes it sound. There's a lot of satchel of helpful goods. You make it sound like it's a shitty thing to get. Anyway, I use that to write a song later on. I like the expression satchel of helpful goods. So, okay, I feel very confident, and I will tell you now, and then you can ask any questions or whatever. Direct my attention as you see fit for the last 15 minutes. I am very convinced that you are an ISTP.
ISTP. Okay.
Um, everything's consistent with it. Your TI, despite getting the first one wrong, that's not really what matters. You got the hard one right, which is the son-in-law one, and you were fast with the syllogisms once you grasped where I was going with the concept. You know, you're also you're just very TI in your just the way that you think. This is not a good reason to type you as TI Dom, but it is consistent with it that your affect is that of a TI user. But the thing that's very definitive about you is that you are extroverted intuition polar. You test very extroverted intuition polar, and you display very extroverted intuition polar throughout. So that narrows down to ISFP, ISTP. You seem pretty clearly to me, TI, not FI. Your expression of or some answer to some question you said like I can't remember exactly what it was before, but it sounded just like H slot FI. And certainly you're not FI conscious. When I ask you what you're feeling emotionally right now, you say neutral. You only really retain information about negative emotional states, except for the one thing that you can recognize as positive emotion, which is interaction with your daughter, which I totally get because I'm FI polar and I had the same kind of like uniquely emotionally vigorous relationship with my daughter. It's just father's love, you know.
Yeah.
So you definitely seem FI very unconscious. That's consistent with eighth slot. And your FE seems fourth slot, kind of both instrumental and you don't like it. You're fine to be called rude. You understand that you're not going to schmooze anybody and you don't like to be schmoozed, but you understand what it is and can identify that it's happened to you before. That very fourth slot FE instead of, say, fifth slot ignoring, which would be an ISFP or any place else. But I figure since we can nail down the NE polar so definitively, we really got two types to choose from: ISFP, ISTP, and I'd say ISTP 100%.
Okay. What was the definitive part of the NE? What was the question for that? Was that the bird feeder one?
That's one NE question, but also when I'm asking you in the value questions, things about originality, the way you express what you're saying about music, how you don't usually have words, that you don't need to extrovert your intuition at all for anybody except for your family members. That's very consistent with extroverted intuition in the seventh slot. And additionally, just the conversation with you, IFTPs and ISFPs both, when you ask them a question, they give you a straightforward answer and then stop talking. And they're really the only types that consistently will do that indefinitely.
Okay.
So it's usually pretty easy for me to peg them. Occasionally I'll have a brain failure and mess up on an ISFP like I did not that long ago. I don't know what happened. It was the first time I typed somebody in a while. I guess I just was rusty. but also you're super countervalued in the SI. So what makes you mad at yourself? You jumped right at, stub your toe. That's countervalued SI, and then it's like you. It seems to me that in general you countervalue SI. You like to cook not because it's because the SI aspects of it. It's sort of satisfyingly familiar, taking care of your own biology and stuff. That's SI as some kind of front stack or maybe even absolute value. Your relationship with cooking is totally SE. I'm doing this to create the impacts for my family. And if it were just me, I'd just eat whatever it would say. That's
Okay.
textbook countervalued SI, which necessarily implies polar ending.
Okay.
So, do you have any questions or comments? Do you have a type coming in that you thought you were?
I've been all over the place depending on who I've gone to and what potential tests I've taken, and then I stopped taking the test because there's pretty universal consensus that they're terrible, and so then I was listening to people. C.F. Joseph originally, but obviously I figured him out to be a con man, which is why I stopped listening to him. And there was I can't remember, cognitive personality theory was another one with Harry.
Okay.
But his definitions, it was hard to decipher exactly what he was talking about for a lot of things. So I kept bouncing around until I could understand somebody who I didn't believe was a con man. And so C.S. Joseph had me typed as or using his whiteboard system was, I believe, an INTP. And Harry's lens video, the 5 signs you're not something videos, I went through all of them. The one that I associated most with, and that one was an INTJ. And then that's also what my wife has been telling me. So I guess I had a predisposition to INTJ.
Okay. Well, let me actually consider that for a second. Yeah, the reason you're not an INTJ and you're an ISTP is because you're definitely any polar and not any fifth. So an INTJ, I mean, let's double check something. Let me ask you some more extroverted intuition questions. So, can you tell me all the possible uses you can think of for seashell?
A seashell, decoration, jewelry, currency, decoration. What did I say? Decoration, jewelry, currency, weapon,
Okay.
bowl, potentially.
Okay. And can you tell me? All right, I'm going to tell you the beginning of the story, and I want you to finish the story for me. Okay.
Okay.
Beginning of the story is this: a woman walks into a bowling alley with a peacock on a leash, and she goes to the counter and says to the guy, "I'd like to rent a lane and some shoes for me and some shoes for my peacock." The guy says, "I'm sorry, we don't let peacocks in here." And she says, "It's my service animal." And he says, "Well, we still don't have shoes for your peacock." And she says, "Let me see your manager." Now you finish the story.
So this was one that I heard in one of your typing sessions. I
Oh,
don't know
okay. Then let me tell you a different story starter. Sorry.
Okay.
I figured since you've only seen 2 of them and I haven't asked that question in a while, you probably hadn't seen that one. But I was wrong, obviously. So okay, a different story starter. A duck, a quail, and a pack of cigarettes are traveling together in a park, walking along a pathway. And one of the ducks says to the pack of cigarettes, "Hey, how is it that you can walk and talk and stuff?" And the other duck says, "Yeah, I'm curious about that too." And the pack of cigarettes says, "Well, it's a long story. You see, it all began one day when..." Now you finish the story.
You said the pack of cigarettes was the one that started talking, right? It was
Yes.
It all began. So the question was, how can he walk and talk?
Yeah. Like, I've never seen any other pack of cigarettes walking and talking. What's up with you? Says the duck to this pack of cigarettes.
It's a long story. So the pack of cigarettes said that they were in the rack. I can't think of the name of it that holds all the cigarettes at the gas stations, the wall of cigarettes. He was in the back of the rack, and he kept hearing all of these dads coming in talking about how he was just going out to buy a pack of cigarettes, quote unquote, and then leaving and going off to be free. And the cigarettes plotted, he plotted his escape. And once he got to the front of the rack and was finally purchased, he jumped out of the pocket and manifested freedom.
Okay. What do you think about the sentence, "Everyone's doing everything wrong, and though I'm very mad about it, I reveal nothing"?
Could you repeat it again, please?
Everyone's doing everything wrong, and though I am very mad about it, I reveal nothing.
And how do I feel about that?
Do you identify that, oh, that sentence sounds like, yeah, that's talking to me? Or do you think like, no, that's definitely not me who would say that sentence?
I reveal nothing. Yeah, it's possible that that's me. There have been a lot of times where I've thought that I was expressing something, like a facial expression, and my wife has told me that I'm not. So it is possible that I
Okay.
don't express that in that moment.
Okay. Do you think of yourself as being more correct or more able to solve problems?
More able to solve problems. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
And
Well, that's a close one. So correct or able to solve problems. A lot of times I'm not able or I'm not allowed to solve problems, but I could specifically logistical problems, I think. And because I don't have the power to make or to fix the problems. So, but I could see how the problems would be fixed. So probably correctness.
okay. Um, that's a very correct parsing of the words. Uh, hmm. I mean, the thing is, I would say that, I'm gonna have to ask you some more stuff here because it is possible you're an INTJ, and I may have overweighted your naming answer, even though you just gave one name, couldn't come up with any more names. That's not necessarily that. Just that one question is not going to be determinant on the thing. Let me ask you some analogies, okay?
Okay.
So, squirrel is to nuts as a person is to
Sorry, did I miss the question or?
oh yeah, I guess you did.
Sorry.
A squirrel is to nuts as people are to
Oh, fill in the blank. Okay.
yeah.
I thought you were thinking, and we're going to continue on. A squirrel is to nuts as people are to let's go with chips.
Okay. The correct answer is money, I think. But you could say chips because if you're just thinking of squirrels with eating nuts, but I was thinking more about them squirreling them away, hiding them for later.
Oh yeah,
Anyway, let's try another one. Beach is to sand as house is to
beach is to sand as house is to beach is the sand. Is to sand. His house is to lawn.
okay. I would say
Yeah.
carpet, but okay. So here's the thing. I mean, thought about it as you're dealing with this stuff and getting your current feedback. You are an ISTP. And
Okay.
the reason I'm convinced of it is because you're definitely FI unconscious, very unconscious, eighth slot, almost for sure. Definitely for sure, I'd say, because I can eliminate third slot FI. You don't have the level of FI awareness an INTJ would have. Additionally, your any answers aren't as strong as an INTJ would be. And so any polar is correct. SI6 is consistent with what you've said, whereas TI6 is inconsistent. And I hereby state that I have confirmed ISTP.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, cool.
Now I know.
So,
Sure.
do you have any other questions, thoughts, comments, complaints, concerns?
I don't. I think I mentioned this in your chat, but I'm fine with you publishing this if you want to.
Okay, great. Thank you. I will do so then. And I will do it as soon as it's done processing. I'll upload it and it should be scheduled for later today, some point.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.